Today we're making pineapple upside down cupcakes. They're very simple, they come together really quick, and they're great for family gatherings or parties because they're individual desserts. And so people can eat dessert anytime they want. So if they want to eat dessert before they eat their meal, they can do that too. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is you'll have a muffin tin, and I'm using salted butter. I just feel like with the brown sugar and all the sweetness, it really kind of gives it that touch of salt. And we're just going to go ahead, you want to put a tablespoon of butter in each one of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this up. It's about a tablespoon, but don't, just needs butter. Then we're going to put it in the oven, let that butter melt down. And while that's melting down, I just do a pat of butter. It's probably a little less than a tablespoon. And you just put one in each one of the cups. And it's going to go into, I have my oven set for 325, I think, but I'm going to turn it off when I put this in so it doesn't burn, and then I'll turn it back on when I actually get the cakes put together and put them in, because I don't want to burn the butter, but you just need it warm really to melt the butter. But I'm going to go ahead, and I haven't even used a whole stick of butter, so you can tell I'm not using a tablespoon. Just fine. Likely, I normally have leftover batter and stuff, and so I have a loaf pan, and I will use this butter to kind of make that. So let me just put this out of the way, butter out of the way, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the muffin pan, and I'm going to put it in the oven and let this butter start melting. I just turned the oven off. Okay. So the next thing is we're going to go ahead and make the cake mix. I have already opened up maraschino cherries. I just get the Great Value ones. They're good. They're fun. And a can of chunk of pineapples. This is the pineapple upside down part because I'm doing the muffin tins. Normally if I do a cake I use the rings, but I'm just using the chunks. So for the cake mix I use a box mix. I like to use the French vanilla. Super moist Betty Crocker. Because I just like the flavor, that hint of vanilla in the cake mix. So we'll go ahead and get this open. Grab my scissors. And I'll show you, we're just using the standard recipe for the cake mix on the back. But one variation, and I'll tell you when we get there. So on here it says you're going to use 3 eggs, which I have here, a 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. I have the vegetable oil out. And then it says to use 1 cup of water. So instead of doing water, we're actually going to use the pineapple juice from the can of pineapple, because it really just kind of adds to that flavor of pineapple. So I'm going to add that first, right down there in the middle. I'm going to get my mixer. Mix that in. I'm just hand mixing this. No need for me to get my mixer out for this. Just kind of bring that together, scrape the sides. Start to bring the cake mix together. Okay, that's good enough. And I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/3 of a cup. Oops, sorry about that. I'm sure that was loud on camera. 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil. So mine starts at half, so I'm just going to, so that looks like a 1/3 cup. That's good. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my eggs in here. 3 large eggs. I always do when I'm baking let my eggs come down to room temperature if I think about it. Okay, break those yolks. So mix easy. And I'm just gonna go ahead and get that oil and the eggs mixed in. You could do a whisk if you want. Whatever works best. It smells so good already. I love the smell of vanilla. I don't know why. It's like a comforting smell in the kitchen for me. And once we get this done, we're going to set it aside. I check on those, on the butter to see if it's melted. And see, that comes together so quick. No need for a mixer. Just make sure all that oil's nicely mixed in. Okay, that came together really fast. I'm just going to move that over here. I don't think I have a need for the scissors anymore. Just going to take a look and see how the butter is. Okay, oh, I can smell that. So the butter came together, melted very quickly. I did turn the oven off to when I put the butter in so it wouldn't burn, but I can sort of smell a little bit like that brown butter smell. I'm sure that will just add to the flavor, but I haven't taken it so far that I guess turn the oven back on, that it will taste that bitter thing when you've gone too far. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add brown sugar, about a teaspoon. I just used a regular spoon. And we're going to add it to each cup. And then you just want to mix it in. Well, that was... I'm going to hand myself. So, don't do what I did. Just take a teaspoon of brown sugar and put it in each cup. You're going to go back into your brown sugar. That's probably more than a teaspoon. I'm going to let that get in there. And I am going to go back after and make sure that it dissolves and mixes together with butter. But for now, I'm just filling. Getting this all in here. Oh, I can really smell that butter. It smells so good. There we go. Okay, just gonna wipe off any sugar so it doesn't dry on there. Yeah, you can see that's already melting down. I'm just gonna use a brush and I'm just gonna tap down and make sure all that brown sugar is mixed in with that butter. You don't want any like clumps. Hardens and crystallizes, so I'm just going to mix that all in. Oh, so nice. And I promise you, this is quick, easy. Easy things to get to bring this together. Honestly, I think I ran out of maraschino cherries, but I had to buy that. But everything else I think I had already. Okay, that's all mixed down. Get that over there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, and I already took these out of the jar just to keep it simple. And I'm just going to take a cherry. And remember, the bottom side is the side that's going to be up. So I'll take where the stem came out and I'll leave that this way up so that the rounded part is on the bottom. And I just place it in the center in each one. Okay, so then the next thing obviously is the pineapple chunks. And I just grab them, you look, it's the triangle. I just try to set them in there. Sometimes you get them, so don't Actually, you can design it however you want, but I really just make sure that every cupcake has a couple. It's a little tight if I try to squeeze in 3 of them. Well, I suppose you could fit 3. Do what makes you happy. And the cake's just going to surround this pineapple. It's going to be so yummy. And they are, you don't have to put any cooking spray or anything in here because the butter, it's just going to, well, I should say, it's supposed to just pop out. I have had, almost every time I make these, I have 1 or 2 where the cake pops out, but the pineapples stay in the pan. And I simply pick them up and put them back on top of the cupcake. And nobody knows the difference. Okay. There we go. And I'll use that. So let me see if I can give you a look. That's what they look like. They just kind of sit in there. You'll have a better view when you try not to spill the butter. You'll see it better when we bring them out and pop them out of the tray. Okay, so back to the cake. It's the last step before you put them in the oven. Let me see here. How long do you cook the cupcakes? Just 13 to 18 minutes. So everybody's oven's different. I'm doing, bake at 350. I'm doing 325 because it said 325 for coated or dark pan. So I'm doing 325. Just get the cake off there. Now, you can use whatever, some people would use a measuring cup and stuff like that. I have a gravy spoon always, and to me, it's the thing that I like to use. And I try not to get too much on the outside so that my pan just easier cleanup, but it's not that big of a deal. So I put, you don't want to fill it to the top because these are cakes and they are going to rise. But you want to kind of spread it out and cover the pineapples and the cherry. So leave a little space because they are going to rise quite a bit. This takes normally. I'll show you so you can see. Let's see, the filling them 3/4 of the way. But this is one of those desserts that you just remember. And I've just learned from people over the years. And I got this recipe, if I'm not mistaken. I was watching, Trisha Yearwood, and she made a cake doing this, and probably sure she didn't use a cake mix, but I tend to use cake mixes. I don't think I've maybe once or twice in my life made a cake from scratch, but I adapted it to cupcakes and cake mixes. Okay, so I'm looking and everything, and that will settle down and go around. You'll see the butter comes up around it, and you'll see I have so much left, and that's the reason for the love pan. So let me go ahead. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this in the oven, and when they're done, set my timer, 13 to 18 minutes. I'll come back in when they're ready to pull out, show you, and then pop them out. I think you wait like 5-10 minutes, they say. You got to let the pan get cool enough that you can handle it with mitts and stuff, not burn yourself. So I'll see you back when these come out of the oven. Okay, so our cupcakes, pineapple upside down cupcakes, have come out of the oven. They've been sitting here for about 5 minutes, and you'll see they're nice and puffy, and that was I filled it about 3/4 of the way. after I had the butter and brown sugar and cherries and pineapple in there. So they puff up really nicely. So I will tell you this next step is the hardest part of this. It's getting them out with a very hot pan. It's been, like I said, about 5 minutes. So I have a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper on it, and I'm just going to place this over actually, I think this, put the parchment paper down first, and then I'm just going to place this over, and then this is where you got to be careful because the pan underneath is hot. And then we're going to take it quickly so that the juices don't run all over your camera or you, and just flip it really quick. And then lift. You can hear them drop out. And you can see, oh my goodness, I don't know why I say stuff, because now, there, that's hot. I had one that flipped back, but when I flip it over, I didn't have one pineapple come out. I'm so surprised. Normally I at least have one. Look. Let me fold that parchment paper. You see how beautiful those are? They're just cute little individual pineapple upside down pineapple cakes, and they're just darling. And everyone will enjoy these. It's a great quick dessert. I'm going to let these cool like this, and then I'll store them for the night